there, I'm KJ. Welcome to KJ Paints. I am doing something I've had on my mind for a little while today, doing something today that I've had on my mind for a little while. And what I'm planning to do is, I've got these little 10 by 10 hardboard pieces that I've painted black. I've got 3 of them. And I'm going to try 3 different types of pours using what's basically a clear base. So this is mostly BeautiTone semi-gloss clear base. So that's the base that they add pigment to when you go to get paint from a paint store or hardware store. And I've mixed that with Floetrol. So it's fairly thick. It makes a mound on a mound on a mound. And then so the reason I wanted to try this is because largely when I use a lot of transparent paint colors, I end up with whatever the base color is kind of taking over. So I did like a pour where it was black with black base with like rainbow stripes. And you could barely see the stripes because they were all neon colors and they were so transparent against the black. So the black really overpowered them. So I thought, what if you could do, what if you wanted to use really transparent colors on a black base, but you wanted those colors to really pop? So I thought one way to do that would be to actually make a black background and then use a clear base to transport the colors in and see if that has the effect that I'm going for. And then on top of that, I thought, okay, well, take that a step further. If it does turn out nice and the clear base does dry nice and clear and gives kind of an interesting effect, you could put it on other backgrounds, like a wood background or something where you wanted the wood grain or the background to show through in some areas. So I thought that might be a cool use for that as well. So I'm going to try 3 different techniques. I'm going to do a flip cup, an open cup, and then a Dutch pour. I think I might need to thin my paints a little bit before I do the Dutch pour. But so they're a little bit thick. And I've got just fluorescent colors: purple, pink, blue, orange, green, and yellow. Liquitex Basics, Artist Loft, and a Crafter's Acrylic for the pink. Okay, so I'm gonna get started layering a cup for my flip cup. So I'm using a whole rainbow of colors. So in order to try to make sure that the colors that I don't want to mix, like the purple and orange or blue and orange and pink and yellow, I'm putting 2 colors that will look good together mixed, then a layer of the clear, then 2 other colors, so pink and purple together, then orange and yellow, and green and blue. And then I'll do one last thin layer of clear. I don't want to use up all my paints because I'm going to be doing multiple pours here. I have used up almost all of my base, so I'll probably have to make more of that, but that's okay. This is probably way more than enough paint. I've got them on a spinner. If I want to spin out, then I can. Otherwise, I'll just tilt. All right. This is interesting. All right, this is going to be so much paint. Okay. Well, I've got no additives. It's all the paint is mixed with Floetrol, mostly about 2 to 1. No silicone or anything. Just wanted to see how it came out. I might give you some insight into like how our paints are interacting with each other, in the sense of like, okay, I can see how the pink is spreading out under the clear or what have you. I shouldn't have let that cup drip in the middle there. That's okay. Sorry. All right. That's interesting. Okay, so clearly I'm not seeing any black yet, but remembering that the clear stuff is actually white to start, so it should dry clear. So I'm just going to torch and pop the bubbles. I'm not going for cells again, but I'm sure some will show up. Okay, I'm going to put that one aside, and I'm going to do the open cup. And I think I'm going to need more base. I'll just quickly mix some more base paint up. Okay. One of those, and this is my very cheap open cup pour cup. It's just a acrylic paint bottle cut off, and then I use this as the, kind of like a funnel. Let's pour some in here. Okay, this time I think we'll go blue. Just need a little bit of each paint left for the Dutch. Pour. Pink. Purple. And that. And okay. Let's see what happens. I want to do just a little bit more purple. Interesting that the blue and green stayed so like throughout the whole painting and ended up in the middle again because I didn't use more blue and green. I'm going to spin this one out. Trying not to go all wobbly, but it's not really coming off the edges here. There we go. And back to center. Come on. Oh yeah, it's going wobbly. Probably could have used a bit more paint in the initial sort of. But it's an experiment. That's what it's all about. Okay, yeah, it's going very, very goofy looking now. Come on. Interesting how much blue and green I ended up in the center, given that they were the first colors in. You would think that they would be more on the outside. All right, I'll set that one aside. It's kind of cool. I like especially the outsides. The insides kind of, I could take it or leave it, but it might be interesting because of all these big blocks of white. Like, if that dries totally clear and there's no other color to paint or very little other colors of paint underneath, I think that might be interesting. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, here we go. So I've got one more black hardboard here. And okay, so I've thinned my paints down quite a bit. And then this is going, so this is going to be my base coat. Almost all of it on there. Okay, I think what I'm going to do, I don't know if my blow dryer is going to be strong enough for how little paint I have on here, so I might end up blowing my mouth, which is fine. So I think what I'm going to do is do sort of a, actually, I don't know. But think about this for a sec. Let's do this first. Let's do we'll see what it looks like. Maybe it looks goofy, but that's okay. All right, I'm gonna try the blow dryer. If it doesn't work, then I will go by mouth. Interesting. Interesting. I like this section especially. I'm surprised how much, based on normal orange and purple don't really go, but because the pink's in between them, they're not mixing as much, so that's actually quite lovely. I wish I had done the cool colors first and then swooshed out that way with the pink and orange and yellow, just because I think it looks kind of weird here where it suddenly changes. But I think I'm just gonna leave it, and then we shall see how it, this is very cool. And we'll see how it ends up. And I'll bring you back to see all three of them once they're dry. Hey guys, before I leave these to dry, I just wanted to bring you back a few minutes after I finish this one, just to show you how much of the paint sunk through the base. So especially like in this area. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out once it's dry and the white areas have all gone clear, or as clear as they're going to go. That will be part of the experiment, is seeing how clear they actually go. But it's interesting because this is an issue I've had with using white house paint as a Dutch pour base with the intention of having white negative space, and having the same result, having the paints just sink right through because they're heavier and higher quality than the base. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out, because I'm just thinking, like, going forward, even if you wanted to do a white negative space, especially on a large scale where you wanted to use sort of a lower cost paint, you could do just a blank white pour on the whole painting or the whole canvas or whatever you're using, and then use the clear base as the actual medium that you're doing the Dutch pour in, and then you might end up with the result that that you start with before it sinks once the clear once the clear base goes clear, is what I'm trying to say, if that makes sense. But we'll see how it dries. Yeah, just wanted to bring you back for that. Okay, so these paintings are totally dry, and they've been dry for a couple of weeks now, so I think they're about as clear and translucent as they're going to get. It's not quite the result that I had hoped for, but it's not that bad, especially if you consider that the background that I did these on, which is the black background, is as dark as you're ever going to get. So if you were doing it on, say, like I explained earlier, like wood, you'd get sort of a foggy effect on it, and it wouldn't fade out the color so much. So this is the flip cup, and you can see the colors are still very bright, especially this purple here. But yeah, you can definitely see that there's like an overall fadedness from the black, and just a slightly foggy sort of effect. The other thing is this stuff is very thin, so it bent quite a bit and warped while it was drying, so that had an effect on the overall painting at the end. This one I think looks very cool. This is the open cup, and especially this green area, this area over here, I think this one turned out the best. Again, it did warp, and it's funny because right immediately after pouring them, they were warped the other way. So the top was up and the sides were down, and then as they dried, they warped downward. So you can see here in the corner, there's a bit of a fogginess on where it's still a little bit black, and then here where I would have expected to be black. And then finally is the Dutch pour, and you can see that this area is the part where I thought, oh, it might turn out okay with the paint sinking through, but because it sank through and like condensed into a little thin lines, it's just kind of a spider web. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. But these colors turned out super, super bright, vibrant, so I'm really happy with how that turned out. And I love this little area. Reminds me of the effect that you go for with a Dutch pour, with like the spider webs of color sinking through and having like thin outlines, like a green outline on blue. So that one turned out very cool in the sense of how vibrant it was. But yes, this one you can see the most how foggy it is. And I do have a thought on that, because I've dried just Floetrol before, and I've dried just this stuff before, which was what I was going to use originally, but then I ran out, and I thought I would try just another clear base, and this is what I ended up using, semi-gloss interior enamel acrylic paint, with a clear base. And I think I'll try just drawing a dollop of this stuff, which actually you can even see right here on the edges where the paint dripped. It's a little bit yellow. So this might be the problem. So maybe I'll try it again with a different base, because I know that this one dries clear, as far as I remember from earlier experiments that I used with that. So this might be the problem. I might just end up being used for something else. Okay, yeah, so I would call that a semi-successful experiment. I do love how vibrant the neons came out. And I do think that there's still potential, possibly with another base for the clear section. So I will give that a try. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.